Yes. Greetings, greetings, greetings.
Well, this blank thing in front of me.
Greetings. No, man, everything good. Everything good. Don't worry about anything. We're going to take care of you, man. Just talk to me. So greetings, greetings, ones and all.
One love.
This is Brother Sankofa. And before we start today, we just want to welcome everyone to the Knowledge Spotlight. This is your host, Brother Kofi Sankofa. But before we start, we always take a moment to remember the ancient ancestors as Africans, as the first scribes of civilization. There is no writing until Africans said the word. And from the word became all words. And so today we want to remember the Africans, the builders of the Nile. The Africans, the builder of the Nile Valley civilization. When the Nile River flooded, the inundation, they used it, they manipulated it back in thousands and thousands of years ago. And it's strange today, when hurricane comes, African people die. When hurricane season and flood came in the ancient times, we use it for our greatness. We use it to the plants. We use it for our great economies of the Nile. So we want to pour a written libation with the pen, and we say Pita, Pita, like where Peter come from. Pita Otep, the creator, the creative creator. And today we are here to go on a journey with our brother, our good brother, Mr. Desmond Lloyd Levene. We're taking you on a journey, sir. Just let me take you on the journey, trust me, and I'll take you on. Greetings, brother. How are you doing today?
I am well, very good. Nice introduction.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm glad you're here, my brother. So we're gonna go on a journey with you, right? And the journey that we're going on is to just take you with me. Let's start with your birth. You told me just now that you are doing your bio, one of those sketch, and now I'm taking you on that short biography. Where were I born?
Yes. I was born in Smithfield, Westmoreland, 1957. Westmoreland, Jamaica.
Do you remember as a little boy growing up? Tell us about your earliest experience.
My father was an ambulance driver at the Savlamar Hospital. And that community was just based on rice farming, sugarcane, and fishing. Most of I remember we used to go to a place called a place where my brothers and I used to ride horses and mules. But a man by the name of Eric Clark, he was the custodian of the parish. He owned that property. Right now, it is still a good place, but it's been a while since I've been there. So, but I recall Savlamar, poverty, my father with a big household, and he decided that we have to somehow relocate to a different part of the island.
Yes.
We ended up in Kingston because the advertisement said Kingston is a more yielding place, and he being a driver immediately became a taximan.
Yeah.
And we stayed at Jonestown in a one room. But when the owner of the property realized that there were so many people we had to move again. And we ended up in central Kingston, in a place called Smith Lane, where nobody was bothered about how many people. So at least we became at ease.
So hold on, let me stop you there, because I'm gonna stop you from time to time. Tenement yard.
Yes,
you just talk about your experience now, but we have to stop you at certain levels. Tenement yard. Every tenement yard, a whole heap of people living in the one room. So was this a normal thing when you're at Trenchtown, that you have a whole heap of people and that this person got moving out, yet a poor people thing? So,
well, the first place that we pitched in, this yard was a bit more nicer, and I guess the landlord was a bit more determined that he didn't want to break the fabric of his protocol. So my uncle at the time was my mother's best friend, and him said, "Don't worry, man, me find somewhere already," and him take us to there. But going to Central Kingston was where the pendulum was leading me.
All right. So let me stop you there, because I noticed more time you're going at your pendulum, but you don't act like you wasn't me. Me and you, we grew up at Jamaica, and we had the best of times and we had the worst of times. But me now make you just talk about the worst of times. I want to know about marble. I want to know what kind of games you did play as a do. Because nobody come here and go like say a play shatter thing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that reminder, because Shoes Hill, we had to we played this game with Shoes Hill where you might take the bottom of the shoe heel off, and then we sailed it at each other and closest, and we played for cards, like sport cards.
Yes.
Marble was and flying kite. But
yes.
Mother was very, very conspicuous about going on the roof to fly the kite because you might fall off. So she paid a different kind of attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the good part of it was the ward theater.
Hold on. Before you talk, you say ward theater, me say Rialto theater. So now you can't go and talk about ward theater.
Well, the ward theater separates itself from most of these other mediums because it represents the pantomime, Bim and Bam and Hyacinth Clover. Bim and Bam and Hyacinth Clover lived only a stone throw away from where we stayed. And I have met Bim and Bam and Hyacinth Clover, and they were like the clandestine folklore. Most Jamaicans were not exposed to this. But every time I visit and I pass where James Street and Smith Lane meets, I remember Bim and Bam and Hyacinth Clover.
All right. So I'm gonna speed you because I'm gonna just use some of my experience with you in this interview. So I used to stay with my grandaunt named Aunt Alice Nelson on Bryden Street in Dunkirk. Bryden Street, and you have Brace Street and them street. And usually in the 1980s, we used to hide under the desk. So now may I ask you now, things start get hot because you look a bit younger than me, right? So things start political turmoil. So talk to us how, when the things start get hot between Michael and Siaga.
Well, Michael crashed in on the scene like a lightning bolt.
Joshua.
Yes, came and he said, God appoint me Joshua. And here I am with this rod of correction to lead this country to a new realm, a political change. He was so charismatic, so riveting that it was a landslide.
Mm.
The landslide prevailed, but then again, he had to deal with people who did not understand responsibilities. Everybody within a society is, once you accept the role as citizen, you are supposed to contribute. It was a far-fetched idea for them. And the first problem he had was the people who assisted him or voted for him thought they were invincible. They could do whatever they wanted.
Uh-huh.
And crimes, gun violence suddenly took an upsurge.
What year are we talking about?
We are talking about 1972, 73 to 74 when he initiated the Suppression of Crimes Act.
Mm.
It was at that point in time that I was about to receive my first direction. The first thing is I was been in this community, living in a community in Kingston. You have to adhere to the principles of the community, or else ignorance will boot you out, or you find yourself in a desolate position. Maybe that.
Are 6'6".
Maybe that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I was initiated in a gang.
Which side?
It was PNP.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the fact that I went to Wesley Primary School, and it borders down on Rosemary Lane, and at the bottom of there was the Tel Aviv posse.
Mm-hmm.
My big brother became friends with a few guys, and it filters over because he left for Canada and we were in the stew actually.
You were in the Gideon. You were in the battle.
So one evening rather, at Regent Street and Regent Street and Spanish Town Road corner, a man by the name of Burry Boy was assassinated. When he when a crowd converged upon the scene, and then they took his body, not yet still, to the Kingston Public Hospital. And then moments after, he died. And we converged on the PNP headquarters on South Camp Road.
Mm-hmm.
And that night, I ended up being incarcerated for no more than 7 rounds of ammunition.
Mm.
In Canadian society, that was a misdemeanor. But moments prior to that, Mr. Manley had designed the famous gun court.
Is that down Elliston Road?
No, it's at South Camp Road on the periphery of the Up Park camp.
Oh, near the soldier. All right.
Right. So I said before, I was about to receive my first direction because I, as a 16-and-a-half-year-old child, was now sentenced to life in prison.
Mm.
And what was the beauty of it? I started reading. My first book was the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I took up the Bible only because I said, this book, big book, can help me run some time. And 9 months later, when I finished the Bible, I asked myself for more, because the questions that confronted me, I could not answer from the rhetoric being supplied by society or any other person in that institution.
So let me stop you, because I went forward so I could go backward. And so I'm going to take you a little bit further, because when you saw Jamaica in 72, Jamaica didn't just become that.
No.
Right? So tell me now, what's the contribution? Wait, man, let me ask the question, man.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So tell me, what the colonization, the enslavement of African people, the Bustamante, the Norman Manley, the vestiges of colonial violence upon the black bodies and the black minds of the people contributed it through Siago and that movement. I want you to go there.
We have to go a bit further then, my friend, because I can answer you, but in order to answer you, I have to visit the point where it started. The British chased the Spanish out of Jamaican society. And when they started to design their churches and political and security structures, they realized that 300,000 African slaves was now in their care. They did nothing more than reinvested in the same calamity that confronted these people and enslaved them in order to procure the society, to modify it, and to ship whatever is necessary to home in England or wherever. Now, there was no voice. Many ran away to their other environments from slavery, but they withdrew, but did not, could not confront guns and military might. So they too subdued themselves. A while later, when we take it now to the turn of the century, when we were now shaping a political era, the British might realize that the power they had faded because they were too involved in too many things around the world. They could not maintain all the provinces that they have acquired. So in order to satisfy consensus, developing consensus where people are examining what is good and what is not so good, they gave us independence. Now, we know when offering it to us, they said, now it's your turn to procure a nation. But independence is not just freedom. They tied us to, you cannot escape this wrath without you gain constitutional reform. And when we tried, that was impossible. the great Mr. Manley tried. His own nation took him back from the crab's barrel and said, no, we are not gonna assist you.
Okay, let me stop you there. And I want you to listen to the next question. So, CIA, Uncle Sam, America, who is the Democratic, they're the Democratic police. They sided with Seaga, and then Manley then aligned himself with the communist government. What did that have to do with everything?
That's an easy one, my friend. When Michael appeared, it seemed as if it was his Jamaican approach, but he was already being funded by the communist bloc. And America, CIA, could not afford another Fidel Castro. So they destabilized in any way possible. But in the meantime, our sons were being shipped to Cuba to be trained as brigadistas. And when they returned, they had the ability to assemble great weaponry. Not only that, where there's a yin, there's a yang. So the CIA did nothing other than infiltrate the other communities. And who had M16 was now opposed by M1, M3, and that is what caused the 800 Jamaicans that died that year.
All right. So I'm going to move you out of Jamaica because here's the thing, man. Sometimes I don't know for the miracle of man or the miracle of God, but for you not to be a statistics in the morgue is a powerful thing. It's a miracle. Tell us your journey now. How do you end up in this country we call Canada?
Okay. When Michael established the gun court, he gave the power to a resident magistrate. But he did not research the English Constitution to know that that was blasphemy. So there was a set of brothers. They were incarcerated as well. They owned Ideal Betting, and they famous for gambling in Jamaica. They went bird shooting one day and got caught with the guns and ended up in the gun court. So because they had the money, they hired the best. And the case went as far as to the English Privy Council. And they ruled that it was unconstitutional for a resident magistrate to imply life. So the court was found unconstitutional, and everybody there was given a resurrection. I came home, and my mother took advantage, and I came here.
What year was that?
That was 1979.
Wow. So you're there, that's a long time, man.
I have paid my dues as a Canadian because I contrast both society, and I always say, what is stopping Jamaica from being as formal, presentable as any other society when you only have people? Nothing should stop them because it don't take us a whip to tell you that you have a right, or it doesn't take that to motivate you as a recipient or a contributor or a citizen in any sense.
Yeah. So hold on. I'm gonna stop you from time. Come on, may I take you on the journey. You might want to give us all of the story, but more on them. So
I'm beginning to understand and appreciate the format.
Yeah, man, I'm taking you through. So school, like, did you get an opportunity to enter school when you arrived here?
No, well, yes, I could, but I suffered this culture shock.
Mm-hmm.
And the mandate as a Jamaican, which is the street is the most frugal department. So just attack the street and take it home. That was the first concept. But everybody was saying, yeah, you could make $1 here and $1 there. And, it was easy. And I thought it was easy. So I gravitated to that.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about family right now. Because, I had the opportunity to meet them. I meet them when they did the young. Tell us how, when did you begin to kind of connect and building family? Because family is always important no matter what.
Well, my first son was December 15th, 1979. And along came my daughter, and then another daughter, what was classified as a common law situation. Because of not being able to accept full responsibility or the mandate.
Yes, I.
Sorry about that. Hello?
Yeah.
We were separated, and I moved on to another situation where to become a citizen in Canada, I married Levene.
Mm-hmm.
And Levene tried with me, but like I say, my culture shock was so deep. She left me in the apartment and ended up in the United States. Because of that, I drifted from here, there, to everywhere.
So you were like a rolling stone? Is that what they call it?
It gathers no moss. That's what I heard. Yes, my last common law situation was with Rosemary Wright, and we had 2 sons. And I was able to spend a little bit more disciplined life with those boys. We Ridge and Desmond, we tried. At least I tried for 20 years, and then I moved on again. But
yes.
Between that, in 2001, I set out to say I am not comfortable with the streets no more. And another part of me was saying the time is...
Yeah, go ahead.
Then,
Go ahead.
yeah. Yes, 2001, I decided within me to respond to the calling. And I ended up at the Jamaica Canadian Association one night. The Minister of External Affairs was visiting.
Mm-hmm.
And while on stage, he said, on the subject of crime in Jamaica, the government has no hope of quelling or solving that dreadful situation. I woke up the Monday morning and I wrote the Dean of York University a letter stating to him that what I heard.
Yeah, continue, please.
What I heard, what it did to me.
Somebody on the call, please mute yourself.
What it did to me. I told him that I am not satisfied that a minister of government would
continue.
So I said that I would love to attend his institution to study political science and English, on the guise that I plan to return to Jamaica to somehow be involved in the change that I see coming, because there will be change. American society at one point was burdened with violence. They had a revolution. They still burdened with violence, and it still is, but they were able to modify thought. Anyway, I was surprised. The dean wrote me back and said they accepted my plea, and I became a new member of the York University. But when I tried to initiate my plan, they said that I have to accept electives in order to receive the curriculum. So I had to accept humanities. And the curriculum was Greek and biblical traditions. It was then I became to realize that question that I put behind me in prison 1977 suddenly confronted me, where I read the Bible and I could not answer myself. But here I am now, going to a school of higher learning, deciphering Greek and biblical traditions. The first...
Hold on. I may have to interject again. Because as I said to you, you'll go on a linear path and I don't want you to go linear. I want to stop you here. We're gonna get to the book. Your first book. No, you're gonna get intellectual on me. You're going to university, you're going to school. So no, you think you can write. So no, tell me now. Oh, wait no man, tell me now how the first book come to the eye.
You know what I'm saying? Before I get to the university, I had already published my first novel. And my situation with my common law ended. And I decided to go to America. And when I got there, all I see was crack and violence and more trouble. I ended up in Los Angeles, California. And I just decided that I am going to buy a hardcover book, writing book. So I started writing in this book. And I continued to just digress because there was no meaning to what I was doing. I at one point when I was in Jamaica, I stowed away on a ship going to America. My friend, somebody was taking him and he decided to take me with him. So it's not like I really wanted to do it, but I ended up doing it. And when I was in the belly of the ship, I had a dream that two friends of mine was walking down a street, walking down Foster Lane in Kingston, Jamaica. And behind them came this guy I know, his name is Earl. And he shot both of them from behind, killing one guy, and the other fella was able to run away because he was a cricketer, a very good physical guy, and he was able to run away with shots in his back. Now, I was apprehended on the boat in New Orleans and sent back to Jamaica. And when I reached Central Police Station, the guy I saw run away in the dream, I saw him on crutches. I said, "Pierce, what happened to you?" He said he was walking down Foster Lane with his friend Mikey. The same two people I seen, and the same guy who I saw, it happened the same way. And the irony of it, it was the same time it was happening, I was dreaming it. How is that possible?
So is it that make you write the book?
That allowed me to start to examine what this life is all about. When I got to a point, I wrote this poem. It is called Beauty. I see beauty in the salmon swimming up the stream, the Canada goose on its way to and from vacation in Mexico. I see great beauty in an enchanting play, or in the moral to preserve wildlife, forestry, and Creole education. If only I could explain the beautiful vibes I receive from certain songs, or let alone the flash of the poet's pen. But most of all, the beauty in you and in me, which we rarely get a chance to reveal. Now, my first character, his name is Rasta. His mandate is to decipher the meaning of life. So I inserted that poem into his monologues and searched for a story to tell. I remember I lived in this down the street, a very crazy street where people think that they could do anything. I remember this girl. Her name was Jacqueline. And there was this guy, he was a bad man, but not really a bad man, but he think he is. And at age 14, he grabs her in her hair, drags her into his room, and manipulates. When I observe the pain on her mother's face and her brothers who plan to execute him. I took that pain and I immersed that into a story, the story of Francis. But that was only a part of the diagram, because the main thesis is how to explain Rasta's determination to decipher the yeah. So that's how I ended up with that story, and it took me from Jamaica to New York City to gang to love, because it was a love story. It is a love story.
So let me kind of interject. Why is it so important for you? Because I could say the best of times and I could say the worst of times. In your book, it seemed to be the best of times and the worst of times. I could see just terrible violence. Then I find a deep, innocent love affair. Then I find a pastor. Why was it so important for you to kind of put all of those currents running through the first book and even the second book?
Life. That is what we're all about. Pain, intrigue, love, understanding, a light at the end of the tunnel we seek, God coming from the sky, Jesus. All of those needs to be explained, because man has been most devious. On the subject of religion, he says, allow me to prepare it for you. And whenever I do, don't question it. Just come to church and give your tithes.
All
That
right.
that is impossible when God made sure we have the ability to decipher.
Mm-hmm. So as you talk about God, before man start put a physical thing to God, some people would say it's nature. So let's go to Hurricane Gilbert, man, a Jamaican saga. So I have this hurricane in my book. Now, some of us remember all kind of hurricane. I don't know. Remember 21 storm we never born. Remember, yeah. I hear about earthquake, Gideos. And then some of us grew up with hear about Gilbert. How did you birth this book from its embryonic stage to get it on paper?
The irony of it, it's fiction. Now, when Gilbert emerged from the African coast, I was in Toronto. So I never experienced Gilbert, but the impact to the society and to the lingering effect of Gilbert, because no matter what is mentioned, as in reference to hurricanes, Gilbert tops it all. It's not about Gilbert. The hurricane appeared almost after 3/4 of the story. Again, it was a chance to examine the historical notes, the slaves that took us there, the ones we tend to forget every now and then, or not every now and then, the ones we forget. Because if we remember the pain, the lashes, we would not have 1,100 people dying annually, we would not have this social problem where the government would spend drastic amount of money to modify street, but not human. That is highly unacceptable. And no matter what happens, the gravest pain is a community that waits for an election to be paid for a vote. That's not what I was exposed to in the halls of York University, where an instructor says the politics is the most important paradigm.
Yes.
That has to change.
Yeah.
Because
I'm gonna let you continue, but I'd like to give a shout out right here. And just as a counter argument, when I was growing up in Dunkirk, I played football, and Futali, PI, Coach PI, and Carl Russell.
Yes.
Them say, see that youth, yeah, footballer, don't come monks way. Them say, yeah, you gotta play ball for Vauxhall and you gotta play football for Brownstown. So we just want to say sometimes in the hood, some of the big man them say, youth, go home. You know, I'll be part of this. So we want to say sometimes there was rules. And not every youth them bring in the badness like how them bring you.
Listen. I'm glad you said that. My cousin Kassiv used to work at the post office down at King Street. And in the evenings, they live just 2 doors away from us.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go over there because they have a good pot of cook every evening. And at a certain point of the evening, one guy would send me to the store, the shop, to buy a pack of mojo herb. Right? You see, when I came back with the mojo herb, I watched him open it, throw it on the board, and start to cut it up. Then they would send me for something else.
Mm-hmm.
And then they switched the mojo herb for the ganja. That's when I realized they never wanted me to know that what they were smoking came from the field. They wanted me to continuously think that it's selling the shop.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, the older men who maybe had the blue collar tag did not support the younger youths being exposed to all this violence. It was a different trend.
Mm-hmm.
Something else happened.
Yes. So now this book, I don't want to call you out still, but I have to be a little bit controversial here.
Go ahead.
May I read the last book? And may I read this book? And some of the thing, like, did you consciously write this book and kind of feel like it was a sequel? Because there's a love affair here. There's some gangster, there's some violence, some police, and some gangster.
Not really, because I tend to think that I will present things that must be absorbed in one sitting. I bought Salman Rushdie's Satanic Verses 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And in my house in Jamaica, it is still waiting for me to get through chapter 3. It's just like movies. They say that we have to condense the 2.5 hour film to 90 minutes so that boredom don't develop. So I designed for, like I say, one reading sitting. And I think that's a formidable view. I might.
Yeah, and I guess
don't make me cut you. No, Jamaicans on a whole, like the last novel I gave away maybe 500 copies. And every time I see a person I gave it to, I said, "Did you read it?" And I said, I said, me leave it on here. And my cousin came and took it. Yeah. But a lot of other people would stop me and said, "My God, Julius, what did you think about Julius? He's such an articulate boy." And Rasta is the person who should be the Prime Minister of Jamaica, at least his thoughts.
Hold on. That's Rasta, but then we have another fisherman in this one. Kind of behave like Rasta. So what's his name in the Hurricane, Gilbert? What's his name again?
His name is Bertram Cox.
Mm-hmm. So hold on. Before you talk, because while you're going at the book, you have a chapter. You have a maybe this. I'm not gonna say this much because you're gonna want to read the whole book, and them not gonna buy it. So if you can read this much of the book, one of your favorite, because the book is beautiful.
I will read page 85. April 20, 1980 was a normal Sunday, beginning with congregations gathered in the churches and sunbathers flocked to the waterholes. Brunch seekers visited the ports, while cricketers and soccer players flowed onto the pitches. Early evening, the rice and peas and chicken dinners had embraced the palates of young and old, solidifying the details that such a meal is our national dish. By twilight, the blazing sun had given way to a full moon. Michael had just eaten supper and was on the balcony scrutinizing the moon and many stars. He took a gulp from a glass of cold water when suddenly the rapid sound of gunfire burst into the night. A series of explosions followed from what seemed to be the same menacing weapons. Michael was 2 blocks away from the central part of the havoc, yet the reverberation felt as if it was right beside him. Even louder were the screams of the dancehall patrons caught in the mix of a sound most never heard before and feared which the reality some will never make it home alive. Even though a police station was meters away from the confusion and other units in radio and telephone range, security officers did not arrive until long after the massacre. Another 5 were murdered, triggered as members of Southside, targeted as members of Southside.
Mm. Wow. As you're reading that, I'm here thinking, this book has 4, it probably more, but it had 4 love affairs.
Yes.
Right. And we're talking about positive, because one of the things we in Jamaica, oftentimes we stereotype. So the narrative would be a man who just, one gal in a bungle, like 1 gal, 2 gal, 3 gal a road. And so now you have some love affairs that is beautiful. So I want you to tell me from the husband and wife who perished, and then the other ones, because you even have the content love.
Okay, let me inject this. Michael was disenchanted at losing touch with his friends, but an unwavering fervor to conform to his dad's command appeased him. Normally at lunchtime, Michael would have joined the soccer games or shows that he can run with the best. That day, he simply kept to himself and assessed his new situation. Furthermore, it was a bleak, gray day when the sun was replaced by wind, lightning, thunder, and rain. In addition, Michael would never want any of his peers discover that he was scared of the dampening weather. A voice across the table belonged to a beautiful girl who uttered, "Hey, new boy, would you like to try a piece of my lunch?" He snapped out of his worry spasm about the wicked lightning and thunder, smiled, looked over at Jessica Cox as if amazed, and said, "Who, me?" "Yes, you. Is there any other new boy besides you sitting here?" "I don't want to be rude, but my name is Michael Lex." "Well, since you appear so cool and you spoke in an acceptable manner, I'm Jessica Cox. Now, do you want to try?" "Sure. What have you got?" She unleashed a smile and said, "Escovitch fish and bread." He wanted to say, "Fish," but instead he said, "Fish." She widened her beautiful brown eyes and said, "Yes, fish, caught by my father and fried by my big brother this morning. Don't get me wrong, I have never tried fish." She shrieked, "Are you a Jamaican boy?" He smiled and then answered, "The last time I checked, I was born and bred." They both laughed. Jessica pulled out her bag of fish and bread. Carefully separated fish bones from flesh.
Are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. So somehow I'm watching this relationship, and you really drag this one out, my brother. You drag this relationship out. He left the country, go away, come back. He brought a new woman, and the lady's still in love with him, and you drag it to the bitter end. What were you doing with this love affair, my friend? What were you really doing?
Because it was very important to establish character in young people. I submitted my first novel to the Ministry of Education for inclusion into the curriculum. And when they reviewed, they say that lewd content and inappropriate language did not make the cut. Even though I submitted it to Canadian Society and it was acceptable across the board, the only thing that said, keep it away from the intermediate. Now, I rewrote my first novel. And when I finished, I realized that I had stronger characters. A boy, a man who thinks that after the dance floor, he's headed to his bedroom, suddenly became conscious, cautious, and understanding after the girl took him to her mother and father for Thanksgiving. He realized what it meant to wait till after the wedding. So, in a sense, the direction was acceptable. But when I returned the novel for another review, the person who was in charge was a lady by the name of Dr. McLean. And ironically, I saw her in the news the other day. She was charged for stealing $140 million from the Ministry of Education. And she left it now to another person by the name of another doctor who is saying that she finds that the novel infringed on the religious dogma. I took aback because that was stupidity in a sense. Everything that I mentioned about religion in this novel was presented hundreds of years ago. She's saying that I gave knowledge to a 12-year-old to speak in an appropriate manner, explaining religion, that he has spent his life living in the house of a preacher and exposed to a Rastafarian who created a dual concept for him. She finds something wrong with that. When I review her statement in her review letter, I realized it was a personal approach. So that is what's happening to the Ministry of Education in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, if that is happening, there's nothing different from the boy who fights the teacher on TV. That is why it has no helm. But that's a different story.
Yes. So, all right. So this thing is a little bit of a cliffhanger. It's like a little bit of mystery.
Oh, you mean Jessica and her
No. We moved past that one. That. Now we're going into the betrayal.
Oh, you mean the gruesome villain?
Yes.
The gruesome villain. I have this man is so ruthless, it's unbelievable. He grew up, like he said, on an orange farm in Westmoreland with his cousin. They are cousins of two brothers, and they made it to Kingston, both in the same unit. And
what unit?
Coast Guard unit of the the C section of the military. Anyway, they were asked to visit a property after the election of Mr. Manley, and when they made it to the property, the occupant, who is a Chinese of Chinese persuasion, wanted to leave the island immediately. When he said to them, "Did Terry send you?" They're saying, "No, we just got the call because we were nearby." He said, "What the hell? I have to go to the airport now." The men are saying, "Just go in your car and go to the airport." He said, "No, I need security to the airport." Then he said, hold on a minute. He went inside, comes back with his attaché case, and he said, who do I sign this property over to? And furthermore, you can also take my haberdashery in downtown Kingston. So the two officers, which is our protagonist, father, he accepted the house, not realizing that he's putting his hand in to do it. And the cousin took the property downtown. So they both shared up the wealth of this fellow, took him to the airport. Now, the guy who got the property downtown was always spending. He has no limits. So he came back to our honest guy and said, there's 200 kilo of cocaine, you know, and all we have to do is to help it on the island. And this guy said, there is no way he's getting involved in anything ever again. As a matter of fact, just take your leave. So what this guy did was he orchestrated the death of his cousin and his wife. And furthermore, in his white suit, he was at the podium without a script. He just wiped his face with his handkerchief and gave the eulogy. That's the antagonist that will lead us to a crime-filled experience in Jamaica, but a love-filled experience to a girl who said, I am a 25-year-old virgin who fall in love with a guy one day when it rained. That was moments after she watched him married to another.
I'm going to stop it there. I mean, no man ever tell his full story. If you tell the full story, we need to leave some for the folks. So you're writing a script. Why? Why are you writing a script?
Because from day one, that was my intent, to break through this fabric and to top the other they come.
So you want to put it on film? You want to put it on the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, because I have my first novel I adapted to film. I tried for a few years, a lot of years to secure funding, but people who want to come and to dictate terms to me, I just wait for that time. That time when I will design a funding path. Maybe I'm gonna sell 1 million copies of this good story.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this story. So you get in the script. So who's the type of investor are you looking for? Maybe you just put it into the universe.
Well, to be honest, I would rather a producer like you who has never done it before. I keep my mantra is Orson Welles. Orson Welles did a movie called Citizen Kane.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a template for every shot or every dialogue approach in film it's most noted for. It's just like Jane Eyre.
Yes.
Jane Eyre, I never knew what I was being exposed to when I was reading Jane Eyre. But after I got to the to the scholastic reviews where I realized what the conventions of writing, how much it was important for her as a woman, who at the time women were not allowed to do anything other than sewing or taking care of children. And the irony of it is that the connection with Jane Eyre has a Jamaican connection.
Mm-hmm.
So because of her, I understand what leitmotifs are. And I would suggest to anybody in this audience that after you buy a copy of this novel, try Jane Eyre.
So you have tried and tested other genres, other authors, writers.
Yes, because my first, as I say, was the Bible, and I dabbled into Greek mythology.
Mm-hmm.
I went across the spectrum to make known that whenever I present, it's well thought out. I hope not to discourage anyone, but to inspire.
Yes. Yes. So how can they get your book as we coming up next? Because you need to promote this book. You need to do the script.
Well, Knowledge Bookstore is First Avenue. I have in my possession as well, but there is Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, all the areas, all the mediums that sells books. It can be available. All you have to do is to just title and name.
And you made sure you signed this book. Brother Sean, could you come on as well? So you actually signed the book. So if people get your book from Knowledge, they'll get your signed copy.
Yes.
Wow. Is there more books in you? Because I thought you had I thought you were like a one-hit wonder. Then I see Gilbert show up. Are you planning to write more books?
The next is my biography.
But hold on. Why would somebody read your biography? Like, you're a superstar.
I was just about to answer that. I realized that you cannot sell a biography without you're famous. So this Hurricane Gilbert will take me through the avenues and streets that I need to be in. Not because I wrote it, is because of what it's saying, especially to Jamaicans. And the Jamaican influence is noted worldwide. We now have to design a way home back to our people because they need us. The government, whosoever in charge, is not in charge. There's no way you can have a society that 1,100 people. So far this year, over 600 people has died by violence. In a society where there is only not even 5 million people. What is happening? Or are we gonna stay here and say, okay, most Jamaican, I am appalled with. They say that, I'm not interested. It can't change. It can't change. And the wickedest part of it is that 30% of the electorate votes. That is the That is the gravest moment.
Mm.
If a set of politicians wanted to monitor 30% of a society, do you think they could do it?
Yes, of course.
It's an easy task because they know, only one community in central Kingston need to be bought because they already have the rest. They go there on election day and filter out money.
Mm.
That is what's happened to the society. Because if education was a mantra, that would not be possible.
So let me ask you this question then, because my job is to balance you. So the Maroons, right? So when I go to Jamaica, I plan to do a research about what is great in Jamaica, because 1,100 dead, but 3 million living. And what I will do is go to Portland. Like when I'm in Portland, I go to, there's a place named Kwau Town. They call it Charlestown. There's a place called Nanny Town, down in Portland. And one of the things I was learning about Portland is they have the lowest crime rate per capita. They might have 4 murders. And so what I'm doing, I am counterbalancing. I'm counterbalancing the idea. Because one time I was talking to Muta, I said, Muta boy, whole heap of violence are going on in Jamaica. And he said, well, me just come at the airport and no violence now go on. So I said, all right. So, but 1,100 is too much. So how do we balance that vibration?
It's very easy for the Maroon to have an inclusion. They have to be the Maroon Party. And the same political campaign for the society has to be unleashed by the Maroons with the same kind of interest to win over and to assist. If not, it's just going to be a dormant voice.
Yes, I hear that. Brother Sean, jump in here. You have any questions for the celebritas author? Because he said, this is the book. When he's done with the book, he's going in straight into the autobiographical journey of Mr. Desmond Lloyd Levene. So ask him a question, sir.
Biographies are difficult, eh? Being in this business for some 20-something years, it is difficult to sell biographies unless you have some kind of fame, So I find poetry is the same kind of thing. Poetry is an emotional purchase. So when you're not performing the work, it's difficult. So in everything, in this day and age, if you have the following, then you can do it.
I understand that, brother. That's why when I went to York University, my major was political science, because I have not unleashed my full intent as yet.
I hear you. So we have more to come. I see somebody on the thing. You have a question, audience? I see the audience, them jumping on. You have a question, audience? Unmute yourself. You want to speak with the celebritas author, my good friend, Mr. Desmond Levene.
Just want to say hello. Don't really have a question. I was listening in on the phone, but I got cut off walking down the hill. So I tried to jump in, but I found it very interesting, the part that I was listening to. Kind of got mixed up on the time difference a bit there.
You were walking down the hill. Where is that hill?
Where's the hill?
In the hills, Blue Mountain, Jamaica, up in Irish Town.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And
I hear the spirit of the ancestors really walking with you.
Well, the thing about it, like when I was a boy, most music had reference to slaves and the diaspora. When I was a young man, Bob Marley, the artists of those days, they reiterated it. But today, there is something wrong. And it's very easy for gunk to come on the spectrum. But a man like me, for 5 years now, I have presented to the Ministry of Education in Jamaica these 2 novels. And I am still waiting on them for a decision. But mostly every 4-year-old can recite Cartel and Alkaline and Beenie Man. How is that possible?
Then maybe you want to do what Brother Sankofa would have done. I deal with guerrilla warfare. I don't go to system. When I go to Haiti, I've never visited the Canadian embassy. When I travel to Africa, I've never visit the European embassies. I go to the street of the people. So maybe what we can do is we go to some schools.
You know what? I thought about that. I thought about buying the Gleaner and the other paper and publishing the novels in them and ask them for a decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. It's good for children to read, because even though there is life in the book, but the children are experiencing the life. So it's like, are you afraid to let them read about the life when they're seeing the life in Trenchtown, in Augustown, right? You know, in a Blue Mountain Hill, in an Irish town, both them are Irish. And the Irish lady I tell me, say, oh, the Irish them come to Jamaica. Desmond, you know the Irish them came there before black people, enslaved Irish by the Anglo-Saxons?
I would have to.
No. Then make the author say it. So the author there, Shirley,
Yes.
tell us how the Irish get there.
The Irish came to Irish Town because they came here as slaves. The British them enslaved them and brought them here as slaves through the spoils of war.
Okay.
So that's how the town got its name, Irish Town, because for the Irish slave that the British brought here.
That I understand. I understand. Like most Jamaicans would not accept the fact that the Chinese and the Indians were there before the Africans. They would not.
Yeah, that's true. Lack of knowledge, big time in our people, big time.
Because the Indians and the Chinese were the first indentured servants, but they could not stand the pressure.
Mm-hmm. I think why Africans would have a problem with that per se is because we populated every place. So when you call people Taino, those are African people. All of the people you call native, they're African people, because as African people spread and became every people. So when African come back and return to each other, they come in as, you call them Caribs and stuff, but is African people populated the earth. That's why we always teach. When we teach from the history, we're teaching about the triple heritage. Black people are the only people on earth populated Europe, China, everywhere. And when other people, and then because of us, other people emerge through nature. And yet we are the only parent of humanity, the African race. So that's why it's a complex reasoning. And the next time when you write the next book, Shirley and Sean and Desmond, we're gonna have that big debate.
I need to get a hold of that book. Sean.
We miss you, Sean. Could you tell her how she can get the book?
Shirley, there, Jamaica now?
Yes, but she may come up soon. I'm not sure.
Well, Shirley, we talk. We'll talk and we'll figure out a way to get it down there to you if you need it down there.
But Sean, don't just talk to Shirley, because you have people listen.
I'll tell those people too. But since Shirley was on that, right? The book can begotten at Knowledge Bookstore. Now, for those of you that's abroad, you can order on knowledgebookstore.com, right? So that's knowledgebookstore.com. You can go on the website, you can put Desmond's name in, or you can put Hurricane Gilbert, and the book should come up. And you can order it that way, and we will ship it to you here in Canada, the US, and it depends on what country you're in. You may have some issues, so you may have to contact us.
Any
right?
ebook, or is there ebook to the book?
Well, I don't have ebook. You have to ask Desmond.
Ebook is available through Amazon.
Okay.
Barnes and Noble as well.
Okay, so cause sometimes, Sean, I didn't know somebody in a Kuwait,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no, like, they couldn't find a way to get the hard copy, so they grabbed the ebook.
Well, yes, shipping is to some places, well, it's not worth it, and it's very difficult. So if they can get it through Amazon on their side of the world, ebook wise, then it's a good solution.
Yeah, but if you're in Canada, you're in Brampton, you're in the city, take a trip to the bookstore. And Brother Sean, you say you're gonna start to, in the near future, have some stuff black into the store.
Yeah, yes, in the near future. Right now, I'm in my planning stages.
Mm-hmm.
So by the end of this month, I'll be able to share some stuff, because, you know, this December is making 25 years. So we have to start celebrating just now. Right?
People like Desmond that work well online, you see? Desmond and people.
Well, you know,
I'm adapting to it. I'm adapting.
Good.
Maybe I might just do a little crash consultation as to how to fiddle the keys, but I surf my way through properly.
All right. So at least, see it, Sean? There you go. COVID, the COVID inexperience. Folks is learning new techniques.
New techniques, yes. New techniques, that's not so new, but yes.
Are you going to ever go back to one way? Or are we going to forever be hybridified?
I think the hybrid will work well, because, you know, there's always a set of people that's not close, right? That won't be able to travel, and they can still participate with the hybrid. So I think the hybrid will be something that will utilize going forward. Right.
Yeah. So this question is for Desmond. Desmond, what do you have to tell any writers, upcoming writers, about the creative pursuit? Because sometimes I'm reading what you're writing, and I'm like, I'm saying to myself while I'm reading it, is like, boy, look, I saw you talk. Like, man, I said, this don't sound like English. This don't sound like English. I'm gonna read it again. I'm gonna say, but this is how somebody would talk, right? This is how somebody would talk. So look like yeah.
I maintain my my own persona, my own pattern, because when I digress across the pages years ago and compiled the story, I did not know what conventions were, what an approach were. It's like a construction of a building. So I met this guy. He was an English major. Peter Ferenczi is his name. And he took my my story, and he said, well, it's laughable, but the goodness about it, you have a story. And what we're gonna do now is to unearth it from the pages. And he said, I want you to buy this little book. It's called The Elements of Style by Strunk and White. when I bought The Elements of Style, it was only 65 pages. But in it, it gives you an approach as to how to design and how to possess a style. Yes, I have studied English at York University, but that does not take away from me speaking as a Jamaican. There is a certain kind of ingredient that goes into that.
True. I'm gonna take you back before we head out, just because I can. So, like, you know, we met like years ago, so I don't want to date you because you're a young man. So how important is it? Because Sean was just telling me today that word on the street is this weekend. Tell us about the word on.
Without Sankofa, I have to bless you, my brother. Hello? I've lost.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have to bless you, my brother. You saw me emerging, don't know anything about anything. The first time you put me in a situation where I'm supposed to speak to an audience, I had jitterbugs. And I questioned myself, saying, how am I going to talk to people when I cannot develop the words? But a while later, I began to adjust to what's warranted. It's like speaking to one person, an audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I am ready to, yes, like I said, there is other things that I want to be involved in. And the biography, because it entails many years of Jamaican life untapped.
Mm-hmm.
And I, in order to direct the children, you have to give them the information. There's one novel that is a piece in the curriculum. Brownstone, a novel called Brownstone.
In Canada or the Jamaica?
In the Jamaican curriculum, it is acceptable. But yet it have lewd content and inappropriate language. And nobody question it. And it's not a Jamaican who contributes. So that's why I'm overly appalled with the Ministry of Education in Jamaica. There's something wrong there. And because of that, it flows over the schooling system. How can you have the last Minister of Education incarcerated? How can you have the second person who took over from him incarcerated and not have a problem in that house? Tell me.
So this is what I'm gonna do. I'll do this for you. So I'm never concerned about what you can't do. So I never worry about that. That don't mean anything to me. However, I think what we can do is we probably could meet the Jamaica representative. He's here. He's called the Consul General.
Yes.
Yes. So I think the Consul General should get a copy of the book. And you begin, because he does book launches here as well, because you're a proud Jamaican. And once the Consul General approves stuff, you don't no longer have to try to push it. You get what I'm saying? So let's just.
I thought so.
Don't give energy.
I will go to that medium.
Yeah, but let me do the phone call, because
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, because my thing is a little bit different, because you're a powerful. Yeah, and you want to do it. I don't want to say nothing to Jamaica.
No. I accept anything you say. You know what? I wrote The first novel has a screenplay called The Other Side of Francis.
Mm-hmm.
There's a main character called Rasta. And no matter how I look or I research artists, actors, you're the only person who I think could represent
I'm
Rasta.
trying to hide. I'm trying to disappear so you don't get me in the film. But you're trying to cut me down. Brother Sean, I need you to play me. Because he's trying to let me play Francis Burke. Yeah, trying to hide from him. And every time I see him 10 years now, he's like, still playing Francis. So I'm looking. Like, I don't have to play.
Come on, because you have that voice. That presence.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely. You're so passionate about the Jamaican linguistic kind of affair. I think you need an audience with the Honorable Consul General here in Toronto. And he's a very good man. So beautiful. So Brother Sean, before we go, Brother Sean.
Yes.
When is your next spotlight? Because every 2 weeks you're spotlighting people. And I want to know when you're going to spotlight Miss, my friend from Jamaica, Shirley.
Hey, Sean.
Shirley, you ready for a spotlight? You ready
Anytime.
to give the history of Jamaica, your part of the world?
My part of the world, the history of Jamaica, my part of the world. I guess I'd have to do a lot of research on that. But give me some time because
all of Africa. She been Africaneering these days. No madding, right?
Yeah.
So that's what she needs to bring. What's up with the journey?
The journey was
you don't need the time,
interesting journey. You learn a lot about
Sankofa will take you.
We have not changed a lot.
Yeah. So
Brother
Sean, this won't be a book spotlight, but this will be a live spotlight. So work it out with her. Let her get us.
We'll just call it a live audio book.
Yeah. So
right? So we'll do that.
So Brother Sean, who sat this from now, and you will let them know who is the next author?
Yes, I'm actually setting up a set of people. There is someone that represents a group of authors that I'm working with, so we'll be scheduling those authors.
Mr. Desmond, could you, because I know, as I say, you always bad me up now that you're on social media, you're adapting. What's your social media handles?
My email address is claudiustapper@msn.com. Claudius, CLAUDIUS, tapper@msn.com. I'm on the Facebook. I'm on Instagram, MySpace, Twitter.
Whoa. MySpace done long time, Reggie. Stop it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
MySpace?
LinkedIn.
Yes. Not done. Nobody will call it them. You. So, your IG?
Yes.
Facebook. And you're not on YouTube yet?
No.
Okay. But this one is probably gonna go up there because usually we're recording live all over, right? And then Claudius Tapper. Claudius Tapper is a gangster.
No. Claudius Massop.
No. Claudius Tapper is from one of the character, man.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Which character was Claudius Tapper?
No.
I use email and I drag my memory back into the book.
The first novel, Wayne Tapper.
All right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, you don't know my brain, because once you come up with a name, so Claudius. So respect, Mr. Desmond Levene. It was a pleasure.
Blessed, you made it most comforting.
Yeah, man. And then it's one love. Brother Sean, thank you for letting the spotlight.
Okay, Sean. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
All right. So whenever you need any more copies, you just give me a shout, eh?
Will do.
Is there copies in Jamaica, Sean, or I'd have to link up from somebody to get a copy?
Yeah, I'll link up with you, Shirley, and